I appreciate your concern, really, but I've been okay. Stuff has opened up. I've been going to concerts. I've been traveling. I've been seeing all of the friends that I've been missing out on, and I haven't had time to make videos. I did work on audio. That never stops. I did play around with audio. I listened to all sorts of audio rigs. I just didn't have time to turn that into videos or to even film it. So I got nothing. My sincerest apologies. And I still have nothing, but that's where Ye Olde iPad comes in. We're going to look at other people's rigs and talk about them. I'll keep it a bit briefer this time though. Before I do that though, I want to tell you I am happy to professionally judge your audio rig if you want me to. Send me a description of what you got, like the brands and the model numbers. Send me some photos so I can see if you placed it correctly. And feel free to tell me about it. You can respond to this video or another video, or you can send me an email with the photos, probably easier, to therollingtroll.yt, as in YouTube, @gmail.com. I made that address so I don't get all of the spam, and I can share it freely here. So feel free to send me that, and I will, maybe if there's enough to talk about, I'll turn it into a video. Your rig will get a video. Let's give that a shot. Let's head to Reddit, and let's head to the r/audiophile section of Reddit, because that seems like a good place to start. Here goes. Attention please. This is not a garbage can, it's a speaker. Well, I guess in some cases I'd rather listen to garbage cans than Bose speakers, but in this case there's kind of a fun story attached to it. I don't know which Bose subwoofer this is. It's obviously a professional model, it's massive. But do you remember the Bose with the little pipes on the front, the 802s? They were sort of the professional version of the 901. And the 802 is actually an alright speaker, especially for amplifying vocals and such. They're not too bad. But they used to come with subwoofers, which made the low end worse. It made it muddy, it didn't make it any deeper, it just made it more and louder. Probably the worst top sub combination I've ever heard, especially in a more serious price range. I don't hate the 802s though. These are not those subs as far as I can tell. I think the subs that came with the 802 were more square. But if you get a pair of 802s, don't bother getting the subs. I really like the way these speakers look. I have no idea what they are. They sort of remind me of a Dutch brand called Manger. M-A-N-G-E-R if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they are, because Manger used to design for a full range unit that was designed like a tweeter. So you had a full range unit that would do proper resolution in the highs. Really nice speakers, but these are not Manger because they have a tweeter, as you can see on the top. I'm a bit skeptical about the setup because of the Macintosh gear. I've told you in the previous video, I don't think Macintosh is anything good, except for their very early tube stuff. But it does look pretty cool. I'm really curious about those speakers. These look very familiar, but I don't know what they are. I should. I'm not sure what's going on with the perspective. The left one seems very flat. Maybe it's a different speaker than the right one, but as far as I can see, they are the same. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I'm curious what those are. I really wonder what this setup sounds like, because they also got the room treatment going on here. This looks good, but it's probably room treatment as far as I can tell. There's some more at the back wall. Seems like someone who's serious about sound, but then, I don't know, maybe move away from the Macintosh, but that's just me. I'm not a big B&W fan, but these are actually kind of nice. Not the biggest fan of the Metal Dome, a bit aggressive, but these are really lovely sounding speakers if you don't mind something with a bit of a disco sound. They sound pretty popular, if you know what I mean, but not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I forgot the model number, I have no clue, but if you see these, you may want to give them an audit. They're not horrible. I see a Pioneer record player here. I think it is a PL 512 or 514 in wood grain. Let me actually mute my notifications, otherwise that gets a bit annoying. That's a good record player. I also like that they put an Audio-Technica AT3600 cartridge. It's cheap, but it's pretty cheerful. Should match with this arm well. What I don't like is the puck, the weight, because it's just pointless. Weights can work, record weights can work, but make sure you get one that is actually made out of a material that creates a certain resonance. This is just a weight, it doesn't do anything unless your records are warped, and then you're better off getting a clamp that doesn't have the weight. Onkyo generally is pretty good, nothing special this amplifier, but definitely, you know, an alright starter setup this. I just think these speakers could do with a more hefty amplifier. They are, B&W are really power hungry, they often underperform. The speaker cables are, as far as I can see, simple oxygen-free copper, so just full copper, which is fine. That's absolutely fine. there's nothing wrong with that. You could get better cables, but you can mostly get worse cables. So oxygen-free copper loudspeaker cables usually don't ruin your sound. So this is a sensible setup. I like it. Just get rid of the clamp and maybe get a nice fat-ass Yamaha amplifier or something that has a bit more oomph than this Onkyo to drive the B&W speakers. Can we go to the next one? Yes, we can. I have no idea what the speaker is, and I honestly can't even tell you if it's going to be any good or any bad. It's a bit of a weird design with a double baseboard and the small woofer with a massive excursion as far as I can tell. Wouldn't bet on them being very good. As opposed to these, I prefer the older Genelec, the more squared off ones. But generally Genelec, if you want a studio monitor, is really good. They're pretty direct, they're pretty honest, which is good for a monitor, but a bit exhausting for home listening. But they're really nice little monitors, so I really don't mind the Genelecs. I'm not sure about the bottom ones. They definitely are not made for close-up listening. Is there a brand there? I can't read it anyway. It's a dual record player. These are actually good. I can't zoom in on this. It's okay. That speaker should not be pointing sideways, of course. That's a beautiful Tandberg TR2030. Those sound great. They of course need an overhaul after all these years. But that's a really good receiver actually. But with the speakers on their side pointing outwards, yeah, that's obviously horrible. It's gonna sound really bad. That looks like a dual 1225 or something like that. Really nice record players that pair really well with Audio-Technica cartridges. If you get an 1895, put it in that dual. You have a really nice sounding rig. It has an issue with the Steuerpimpel. I mentioned it before. That I think this one has that already. Oh, I'm trying to pause it, but it's not working. That moves the arm back. And sometimes there's hardened grease in the automatic return system, but that's really all. Actually a nice setup, they just need to place their speakers properly. We got screens, and nice wrist rest. Ooh, and I approve of the Logitech MX Master. That's a really good mouse actually. Wow. What are these again? Those tweeters, are those also ScanSpeak? I'm not sure. Those could be pretty okay actually. I like the sort of Dapolito design. That woofer high up is a bit weird, but it could actually work. I'm not sure what to think of 4 subs that say Discover Deep Bass. I feel like this may be a bit form over function, this whole setup. With speakers that big, you shouldn't need a sub. And even if you did, you need 2, not 4. Yeah, I don't see the point of this setup. I would probably just go for the full range speakers. I can't read the brand, unfortunately. I know I've seen them before, but I don't know what they are. You know my opinion on Macintosh. Is that a control center? Okay. Alright. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. I think it's a bit of a weird setup and the way it's placed. Speakers are very, very far toes in. The subs are just a bit unnecessary, I would say. I'm not sure about the rack on wheels. If you spend that much on audio, maybe get a solid rack. But I would like to hear those tower speakers with a different source, because I think they could be pretty good. Also, why would you not want daylight? They probably don't want the resonation from the windows, I guess. What is this? I can't read it. It's got tubes. My opinion on tubes is they can sound as good as, or better, or worse than a solid state. Fine. Tubes have a typical sound to them sometimes. Not warm and woolly, that's just not right. But they have a certain looseness and transparency that's really nice. I don't think they're better or worse than the transistors. It's all about matching. We're playing, well, we're not playing Steely Dan actually, we're playing Robin Trower. Or Trower, however you pronounce it. But they're ready to play Black Cow because they're going to probably demonstrate their rig. It's a good recording. That's a cat. That's a Spectrum. What are we looking at? Some FLAC. I don't know. Oh, look at that. I think it's an Ampex. Lovely little tape recorder. A bit of a weird video. There you got the Bose 901s in the background. Yeah, I like the tape recorder. Should probably be running at a higher speed for real sonic quality, but I do like it. 901s are okay if they cost 100 euros, but people pay 500-600 euros for them. Not worth it. Absolutely not. Big B&Ws. These are generally a bit too boomy for me, and if that's the amplifier he's driving them with, no way. Those need a lot of power. There's a sub which you would only need for movies maybe, because it should be really unnecessary. I guess this is a surround setup, but if you want to drive these B&Ws and also a pair of rear speakers, you're going to need something beefier than that Yamaha. Nothing bad to report about the Yamaha. It's a great affordable amplifier, but it's not. Yeah, it's not what you want for BMWs. That's the thing with BMW. It's not that expensive. It's also not cheap, but it's super power hungry. So people buy them and then don't spend at least twice that on their amplifier, and you just don't get the best from them. I would recommend people who don't want to spend that much to buy speakers that are easier to drive, like ELAC or Dali or something like that. Yeah. I always love Yamaha. It's not my sound. I think it's too aggressive, but I think Yamaha always outperforms the competition at a reasonable price class. So this is not a cheap one, but yeah, it's really all you need for a nice starter amplifier. It's got your DAC built in, PCM and DSD. Whoever uses DSD, it's not exactly practical. Not sure what you think about the loudness. It's just not necessary, but it's got a pure direct here, so you can surpass everything, and it has a phono input. What I also like is that it has 5 line inputs, USB, optical and coaxial digital. This is a really practical amplifier to have, the AS801. Good stuff, not something I would buy, but actually good stuff. Oh, these I've always been curious about, because I really like the Rogers monitors that are sort of built on the same principle. I think that's the monitor 7.1 or so. These are actually, the R40 is actually not an expensive speaker to buy. I don't think this Tweeter's original, but I'm not quite sure. And I still want to get myself a pair because I love Cambridge and I'm just really curious what they sound like. But I don't know. There's CAF units in there that could go either way. These also look pretty promising. They look home built. I'm not sure. I like the design. Of course, the dome is slightly dented. This could be a nice speaker actually. That stand though, probably not heavy enough to properly translate the bass through the ground, through the floor. You need to have some weight on your stands. But I'm mostly weirdly attracted to those Cambridge speakers. And I don't know if that's justified. Another commercial. We have a Klipsch, I presume. Yes. So I haven't heard these. I've heard others of that line and they're pretty damn good for the money. We got a cute tube amplifier. I can't see what it is. I'm sure I'm supposed to know, but I'm not that well versed in tubes. And I think this is a Rega P1 or so. Yeah, I wouldn't buy a Rega personally. The cheap ones aren't great, and the expensive ones are too expensive. So, but it's a sensible setup. I'm seeing something that makes me go, okay, this person is heading the right direction. It's not ridiculous. There's no completely horrible stuff in there that shouldn't be in a setup like this, or completely mismatching stuff. This could be alright actually. I would definitely not use those tables for speaker stands, but that's another matter. What are we looking at here? 280 watts. This is funny, isn't it? Output power, 280 watts. Consumption, at the bottom right, 175 watts. I have no idea where this amplifier, I assume it's a... Wait, CD player? I'm not sure what I'm looking at. This is probably a stereo rig and it's a bad one too. The tape player does 80 Hz to 10,000 Hz, which is just sad. So, oh, Woox driver, so that's Philips then. Okay, there we go. So that's just, this is crap. You can tell just from these specs that it's crap because it literally, it weighs quite a lot here, but it literally says it can provide 280 watts of power and it's not even taking that much from the main. So that's just technically impossible. I'm not going to pretend to know who that is. I know who that is. That's Norah Jones. Focal. I don't like Focal. It's all of the aggression all at the same time, and I don't get why you'd buy Focal. I think it's one of the most overrated speaker brands out there, and I've never heard one that I liked. I've heard some that were okay. I've never heard one that was good. And it's not just the aggression, it's everything. There's massive gaps in the audible gaps in the frequency range. The low end's not controlled. I think it is one of the worst speaker brands out there. And I'm really sorry for people who bought into it because they, yeah. Is it a Parasound? What is this? No clue. That's Primare, or Primare, however you pronounce it. It's actually good sources here, but damn Focal. Really? No. Wow. I've seen those speakers before. I'm supposed to know what they are. I like that they're watching a live session on NPR. That's always good. Too much Macintosh for my liking. And I recognize that, but I don't know what it is either. Mac Mini, I think, with an external CD drive, because yep, that's how it goes. That's a model Mac Mini. There's one right there. I know the issue. It's how it goes. But I don't know. This seems like someone who actually loves music. I don't know how I can tell that. Probably just because there's some CDs there, and you got an NPR live session here of some funk or jazz or soul band. I don't know. This is probably going to be a fun person to hang out with, but I don't agree with their choice in amplifier. And I see some massive woofer reflecting here. I think this is going to be more impressive than actually good. More focal, even worse with the inverted domes. But let's see what they hooked it up to. I've actually heard these vocals. They are just, first of all, why a three-way? More than is necessary, but just no. Lovely NAD streamer. I get why they bought into NAD because they do MQA, but so far MQA has been relatively underwhelming. The idea of MQA was that you can that they control the process throughout the chain, so everything up until it gets analog is controlled by the standard called MQA, and they have a really cool compression standard that compresses using space in the noise floor. It's really interesting, but the mastering for MQA just isn't great. And that was exactly the idea. Does this say stoner? I have no idea. Or one something. I have no idea. So, Focal, not for me. Nice streamer, no idea what the amplifier is. That TV is going to reflect the sound like mad. The speaker, the left one, is hidden behind the couch. This person should have gone for nice bookshelves, maybe with a sub if they really like their bass, but nice bookshelves, medium-sized bookshelves, like the 10 IM2 or something. Because this is just not a setup that is going to perform as it can, provided you like Focal. These look like the ceramic speakers that Teal and such used in their designs. I was never a fan. I thought they sounded completely dead. We got some Emotiva stuff, or however you pronounce that. They are definitely a fan of that brand, which is absolutely fine. There's some amplifiers here, also Emotiva. So I have no idea what this is going to sound like, but it looks pretty promising, to be honest. This TV is a bit small in comparison, but that's alright. This is a sad dude with headphones. Wow, that looks like someone took missions and they are missions. What are? I've never seen these before. I'm intrigued. I don't know which missions these are. These are obviously pretty early on in the mission history. What I do like is that they put the woofer forwards a bit further than the tweeter. It's to make it time correct, because high frequencies are quicker to your ears than low frequencies, and low frequencies carry on longer, which you will know if you have a party somewhere down the street. You only get the lows. This sort of time corrects for that difference, so it makes sense. At some point I had full range speakers with a tweeter on top of them that started at like 6,000 hertz or something, and I just kept moving this tweeter back and forward because it was separate until I got a nicer sound. It really works. It makes it all a bit more easier to the ear if you get the tweeter and the woofer at the same time distance from you. But obviously it depends on where you sit, depends on the tonal range of the music. Generally, it's safe to say that if you look at the woofer, where it usually they are cone shaped, where it sort of hits the spider, where it hits the form of the magnet and everything, or the coil, that's where you want the tweeter to be, sort of. But you should play with that. If you have a chance, play with it. It's kind of cool to do. I'm really curious about these. I don't know which ones they are. They're in Canada, I can see, because Canuck Audio Mart. Interesting missions. I don't know these. They look good. I do like this setup. It looks pretty. We got speakers by... is that Acoustic Energy? Yeah. A bit too energetic for me. Not bad though. I think that's a Cambridge amplifier and a record player, but it's really hard to see what it is. Could be a Yamaha, could be a lot of things. It's a sensible setup though. The speakers are nicely moved forwards. There's obviously a lot of space around them. I mean, you're still in the living room. Those plans are not going to be great. This is probably also acoustic treatment. This looks like a setup that has been thought through. This is probably going to be pretty good. So, yeah, good stuff. This is a good setup. Is this also? Oh no, that's an air conditioning unit. That's very ugly actually. Usually the ugliest thing in the room is the TV, but in this case it's the air conditioning unit. Maybe a very warm climate. Oh, there we go. Acoustic Energy 309 and a Cambridge amplifier. I could actually check myself to see if I get stuff right or wrong. Oh, this doesn't specify anything. That's a pity. Yeah, this is actually pretty nice. Little clip speakers for the front and the center. Why not use the same speaker? It makes sense. You got a Nintendo 64, matte props. The rest is a bit dark. I can't tell. There's a subwoofer, at least the size makes sense in the placement. It's Probably also Eclipse, I don't know. I don't get why people like Daft Punk. You got a slanted ceiling, which is going to be a pain in the ass, but it looks like you're having fun. You didn't spend unnecessary money. So whoever this is, I do not mind the setup, even though I have no idea if it's going to sound any good. Yeah. So I think the left one's original, but they call these kabuki speakers, Japanese speakers, I assume, with way too many units. And though logic dictates that they should sound like shit, Sanzui, they often don't. There's something weird about these. I had a pair of massive Kenwoods at some point that were just ridiculous. I bought them with like a 4-channel receiver at a yard sale for like $15. I was like, I'll take the receiver. I don't want the speakers. Who needs those big blah blah blah, looking like cathedrals, horrible things. Hooked them up and they sounded awesome. They didn't sound refined. They didn't sound precise, but they sounded thick. They sounded live. They sounded impressive. And they were not exhausting because they were pretty dampened in the highs. I was actually really impressed by them. So, yeah, don't completely judge a book by its cover. But the big bass board here, I don't think these are going to be great. And one of the two woofers isn't original. I'm not quite sure which one. But I think the left one is original. That looks like more period correct. How far are we? 20 minutes. We've got 10 more minutes. We got a dude here. Altec. I don't know which one these are. You can Google them if you want to. But Altec made some really impressive speakers. A friend of mine saved a pair of Altec Lansing Voice of the Theaters from being scrapped. One tweeter was already gone, or one compression driver. The rest he still has. Holy... Another case of, it's not perfect, but my goodness, are they a joy to listen to. I really like them. Interesting design. These are the big-ass JBLs. No idea what's going on with the small clips also being there. That seems a bit senseless. Thing with these JBLs with the horns, they do sound really good. They sound typical. They sound retro. But they sound so nice. If you look at my video of the Dutch Audio something show that I posted a couple of months ago, I'll put a link up there. There's a pair of huge JBLs there as well. Much bigger than these. My goodness, were they good. Unaffordable, but well. Got your little tube amplifier. Got your shit. I think I got... That's not a Mani. The Mani doesn't have a switch. Some shit device. This is a shit for sure. I love the theme going on here. You got your Cambridge. I guess he's using this as a preamplifier, streamer maybe. Do we get some info? JBL 590s. I don't have the space. Well, now you do. You got your power meters, which are pointless. So now we know why he has the JBLs and the Klipsches. If you can get those JBLs cheap, go for it. Especially since these models with the horns are pretty easy to drive. So they're great for tube amplifiers. Yeah, he doesn't have the space, but these are pretty forgiving. This could be alright, actually. But he needs to move house. Also, he's got an Xbox. And he likes whatever this is. So, yeah, I hope he's happy with the JBLs. I would be. Whoa. Messy setup. We got mass drop stuff. So that's probably headphones. I guess that's them. You got tiny little... Are those Klipsches? I have no idea what those are. But if that's a Klipsch 2.1 setup, they look like little Klipsch... what are they called again? The ones that are slightly tilted backwards? I am intrigued. Klipsch Pro Media 2.1 Heritage. I don't know if this is form of a function or just cute or if it's actually good. But I love the way it looks. I would have definitely gone for wood though and not for black. The speaker standing next to it doesn't look too fancy. Also, it doesn't look very well placed. Dude maybe should get his priorities different. But it's kind of adorable. Oh boy. So we got ourselves a Pioneer RT909. It's one of those tape decks that you really only buy because you like the looks. They sound great, but so does the RT707, which is much cheaper, takes smaller reels, okay. These things are notoriously unreliable. Wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. They're really cool looking though, but I prefer the 707, but that's maybe just me. And the tube amp. Can't tell you what, I'm just not very knowledgeable about tubes. We tried to make it big, but somewhere went wrong and we can't work out what that something is. Love the cover art. Did they actually record? Can I get this somewhere? The Rusty Nuts. I don't know what kind of music it is. Sounds like punk. But I would love a modern day pre-recorded reel-to-reel. Ah, there's the Modern Wharfdales again. I still haven't heard them, and I have the feeling that they're going to be awesome, and I always see them with the same foot, so I guess that's part of the speaker. This is a beautiful setup. I really like it with the plants and the table. Another probably Cambridge streamer. I wish I could be satisfied with just a streamer. I love streaming, don't get me wrong, but I love my records even more, so it would be very nice for my living room if all I needed was a streamer and an amp or a pair of active speakers. They really want to sell us that, don't they? Kev Wireless, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the wireless stuff. Lovely day. It's always a lovely day for a Guinness. That's a beautiful space. I have no idea what they're trying to show us, but it's a beautiful space. Okay, we've gone sideways. I'm going to just leave it like this. We got an Onkyo Integra. These are pretty good receivers. Not something you use for high-end, so I'm a bit baffled that it's combined with this Emotiva DAC. May wanna get a more serious amplifier, but then I don't know what speakers he's using. Maybe he's in the process of upgrading. Ooh, what do we have here? Ooh, this is nice. What is this? Something research, but not acoustic. I don't know these speakers. I do like these speakers, even though ribbon tweeters, which is the sort of electrostatic tweeter, magnetostatic, not quite sure right now, are a bit of a pain in the ass. If you don't filter them right, if you let them play too loud, they'll go and resonate and they'll start whistling and they're horrible. But use them correctly and they are a much better option than a conventional tweeter. They have way more transparency and detail, way less of the harshness. I love a good ribbon, but it's really hard to get a good ribbon. I do love the design of these speakers. It just makes sense. The way the woofer's placed, slightly up from the bottom, the space around the tweeter so you don't get diffraction. This looks like a well thought out speaker, and I don't know what they are. What are these? He didn't say. I say he. They didn't say. That's Rotel as far as I know. That's just perfectly fine. Bit aggressive sounding in my taste. Not quite sure. It looks like Rotel at least. And this is a beautiful looking record player. I don't know what it is. Some clear audio? I have no idea. I like the way it looks, and I wish there was a bit more info. But yeah, this is all we get. That's a pity. Anything in the comments? Oh, here we go. Rotel, Martin Logan. I got Martin Logan's, so okay, that makes sense. A Blue Sound, so that's also MQA. Audio Quest. Audio Quest is great. It's Dutch. Oh, it is a project. I was wondering. I'm usually not a fan of Project, but I must say that looks like a pretty nice record player. Love the setup. There's going to be a lot of rattling stuff there, but yeah, this is sensible. Would definitely move the speakers forwards though. Definitely. How do I go back now? There we are. I'm quite a fan of full range drivers, but I'm not sure what to think about this setup with them so close together. The Fluence record player is okay at best. The Autophone 2M, don't get me started. I'm not going to talk about those anymore. This can't be right. Yeah, you know, you can't fix that with. I love an open baffle, which is probably what this is, but you do need. There's no replacement for displacement. You may need a sub or something that actually can produce low end. I have my other setup though. It's cool. You got your power conditioner. You got some mixer volume, I guess. There's a nice Parasound USB. I think that's a DAC, and this EQ. They're trying, but I'm not sure if they're quite getting. There's the Technic CD player. That's actually a pretty good sounding thing. This person likes experimenting more than actually listening, you can tell. But I do like the setup. I would love to listen to this and see how it actually sounds, even with the equalizer. I don't hate equalizers. They're just not something you want to use in an audiophile setup. There's an equalizer right there. I'm not sure if you can see it. Maybe just because I have studio monitors here. They're pretty close to me, and they just don't have all the low end. And if I mix something here, if I remaster something here, and I play it on big speakers, you just get blown away with the low end. If I play it in the car, everything starts resonating and rattling. So I pushed up the low end a bit here, mostly the 40 to 80 hertz range, to make sure that the speakers sound a bit bigger than they are. They're Tannoy SRM 10Bs, and they just don't have that much low end. So I use an equalizer here as well. Just don't use it in an audiophile setup. You can change everything. So just change the setup until you like it. Yeah. No, there's a lot going wrong here. Let's start with the good stuff. Lou Reed. This Sony, I think that's a Sony. I haven't heard it, but I have a feeling it's actually pretty okay. Some affordable record players are really nice. We got a pair of power hungry BMWs, 60 something, and then we got a Philips 900 series amplifier. It's not a receiver. Oh, it's a receiver, isn't it? Those things are, first of all, horrible sounding. They're just not good. But also, they sound so dull. Also, they are severely underpowered. And these speakers need a lot of power. This is going to be a flappy mess. This is going to be absolutely horrible. One speaker's really turned outwards. They're way too close together. There's a rack in between. Ditch the amplifier, find a proper space for those speakers, and we can talk again. But in the meantime, this is the only thing that's going to perform well here is the cheap, simple Sony record player. There's a lot wrong here. They need some education. I do think I see Cricklewood Green by 10 Years After, though. I'm not sure. If it is, great record. How many? Okay, 3 more. These are horrible. Most Infinities are. That's quick. Oh shit! I've heard these many times. The DVLA Phantom, I'm not sure which one. There's different ones. They start at like 2,000 euros, they end at like 5,000. They are incredibly loud. They're like this big. They're incredibly loud. They have a massive low end and they sound ridiculously bad. It's just a lot. It's not refined, it's not detailed, there's no musicality, there's no transparency, it's just boom! That's how they sound. First time you walk into the room, you're like, how do these things do that? But after like 15 seconds, you're like, why do I want to listen to this? It's such a mess. I swear, and I'm not kidding, if you play these at a low volume, just one, mono, you play it and you compare it to the fucking IKEA Anabi Bluetooth speaker, which is $50, the Anabi will have a more audiophile experience than these 3,000 euro speakers. They are horrible. I hate the DVLA Phantom with a vengeance. I don't know anything to say about this. That's a clear answer. This is very cute. I do like that they made it properly audiophile. There we go. That's a rig I can look at. So these are, I think, Klipsch as well, aren't they? I'm not even sure. They look promising. I'm not sure if this is now an Equiphase or a Luxman. This is a Luxman, isn't it? If it's a Luxman, great. I think it's a Luxman. But I'm not quite sure. We got some really cool looking stuff here. This actually looks promising, all of this. Nice rack, some wooden cutting boards, some room treatment. I actually want to know what this is because this looks like a rig I may really enjoy. I mean, I do realize that the speakers are, all these old-fashioned horn speakers are not the most refined sounding. Those tweeters are also painfully close to the edge, but they are horns, so it's all a bit different. But they always sound lovable. I love the sound of those kinds of speakers. So we got bass traps. Is this person going to tell me what he's got, what they have got? I'm a feminist, but with this it's really hard to say they because... Klipsch Cornwall 4, Luxman. Yes, I was right. Luxman L590 and the Dana Frips. That's usually a DEC. This is not a Dana Frips. This must be. I see a blue sound here. This is from this whole series, the first setup that makes me go, this is going to sound good. Whether it's my taste, not a matter, but this is going to sound good. This person knows what they're doing. So that's really encouraging. One more. One more. I tried to keep it short, but I enjoy this. What's this? Are those DCM time frame speakers? Get some proper speaker cable. That was sad. Oh my goodness. Okay. He's got some speakers there. Yeah, they are DCM time. No? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they are. I love what people are. Oh, that's the only thing Macintosh is good for. Yes. Cambridge Dark Magic, Mac Mini, PlayStation 5, and a pair of KEF LS50. I'm not the biggest KEF fan, but those are pretty good. Especially the passive ones. Really nice speakers. I think this is... Is that a Grado? Stax? I know this headphone. I've heard it and I like it, but I don't know what it is anymore. Doesn't matter. Or don't I? I'm not sure. I'm just going to call it quits now. I haven't even finished my tea yet. We've been talking for 33 minutes. Whatever the case. that was an interesting view into what people have in their homes again. I really enjoyed that. I hope you did too. And again, if you want me to look at your stuff, feel free to send me an email to therollingtroll.yt for YouTube at gmail.com, or respond in the comments, but you're going to have to make a link. You can use Postimage or whatever, postimage.org, to send me a link to your rig so I can see it, see how you set it up and everything. And I can give you my professional opinion. I mean, I'm by no means a professional. I just have a lot of experience by now, and that gets you quite far often. Have a lovely day, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.